very unique act in San Francisco. I mean,
I took mime and I put it in the streets. I was the first one to do that, and I became a street mime, and I started imitating people. I'd build up an audience by being a robot. Once I got a crowd, anybody who came down that little pathway, I blatantly imitated them.
people always thought I was on like major amounts of stuff. I was never. I was just full of energy. Go from one thing, bounce off another, duck, have eyes in the back of your head, you never know what's coming up. You imitate this person, fly over there, jump over there, spin over here. I used to slide down the sidewalk. I used to hook onto cars in the street and they would just take me down the street and I'd let go and I'd like slide for like a half a block. People say, what's on your shoe? I had nothing on my shoes except for leather. It's street skiing, man, you know?
Hey everybody, it's Jim of Animated Educated, and today you're going to meet the filmmakers Mark and Christine Bonn. They have made a new film called Robert Shields' My Life as a Robot.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for your interest in the film.
Yeah.
I know this is a little different than what your normal animation is, but you know, Robert's an animator.
Yeah, so recently I was watching the Conversation, Francis Ford Coppola movie, and I noticed at the very beginning of that film, you see Robert as the mime in Union Square. And that was before Shields and Yarnell.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was. So I think that was in '72, I believe. So,
yeah. So how did you guys first, learn about Shields and Yarnell?
Well, we grew up watching them on TV. We are old.
Same here.
Yeah, but you know, really, we're big fans. Now, the weird thing, every Memorial Day and Labor Day here in Hermosa Beach, they would have an art fair down in Hermosa downtown, and we happened to go down there one year, and I stopped in this booth because I really enjoyed the art that was there. So did Chris, but Chris recognized Robert right away. We had the best conversation. We had a nice talk. He, of course, asked us what we did, and we told him we make documentaries, and he told us about the Sedona Film Festival. You guys should enter that. And so, you know, we walk away, and Chris goes, do you know who that was? And I go, that was that artist. I don't know. She goes, it was Robert Shields from Shields and Yarnell. I'm like, oh, my God. So we went back down the next day, and we brought him a couple of our films that we had on DVD, and we entered Sedona, and we ended up...
He suggested we enter
Right.
Sedona. We
Right.
had not thought about it at the time, so that was awesome.
It was not on our radar. Well, we went there and we won, let's see, I think it was this award here.
All right.
Audience Choice Award. And Robert was at the festival again, the art festival then, that Memorial Day. We went there and we were like, hey, dude, thank you. That was really good info. And we start talking, having a good time. And he goes, and I kind of go, do you ever think about maybe having and I don't even get it out of my mouth. He goes, yes, I saw your films. I love what you guys do. I want you to do my story. And we're like, oh my God, now, okay, that's great. Oh. And that began a 10-year journey. It took us 10 years to make that film.
It was completely different than the ones we had been doing before. We're a single person, a World War II veteran. And so this was a longer feature. It had a lot more people in it because we wanted to interview people who knew Robert during these times and such. So it was just a whole other bag of toys.
It had a lot more moving parts.
Yeah.
And then more and more things came out of the woodwork as time went on. And the best part was the poppers, the animators that we got in the film. We would have almost been done with the film, and then things happened that kind of pushed us back a little bit, and then that happened. And we were so lucky to get Pop and John and Mad Chad to talk about, and then just to go to that Poppers picnic. You've seen that in the film. That was crazy. We had no idea that Robert was that popular with the young crowd like that. He was mobbed. It was amazing.
Yeah, he had no idea either. So he was had some trepidation there in terms of going. And we kind of talked him into it. And so we went, and it was
the best day. It was just amazing.
get a lot of young performers. They go on YouTube and they see my technique and they want to talk to me. Well, when I was doing my thing, I wouldn't talk to anybody, you know, and now I love talking to them. You could actually add some stuff like stop and then slow it down and then do it and then slow it down and then do some more and then slow it down and then do it some, you know what I mean?
This is how I got my start in the robot. This man right here influenced me.
Pop and John, hey!
The first time I saw Robert, the techniques that I saw him do made me want to do what I do today. And I still watch his videos today. I mean, it's like he's a huge inspiration, and I'm tripping out because I'm standing next to him. But no, thank you, man. Thank you.
It really, really was. It was just wonderful.
So yeah, I looked at your website and I did see that there were a lot of films about veterans and things like that, and I was like, wow, it's complete opposite now with this film.
It is and it isn't, because this is basically we're doing kind of a piece of Americana with the World War II vets and talking to them about their lives and their whole stories. Robert is a piece of Americana also. It's just kind of his story, just from starting in front of the Wax Theater in Hollywood, doing a robot routine, to having his own television show on network television on CBS, on a prime network. It's just amazing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's what it was always amazing about him, is that, you know, he never blinked, you know. And it's like, how does he not blink? You know, how do you do that?
There's so much that could have been in this film, but the film would have been 5 days long.
Now, does he tell you the secret?
I didn't get to that part. I just was like, oh, you were a optometrist. And then later on, I was thinking, oh, maybe his dad, like, you know, he's an optometrist. He could have, you know, done something. I don't know.
No, exactly.
But, you know.
No, what actually happened was he knew if he blinked, that would tell people he was alive. So, so what he did was he would poke his hand with a fork and just try to hold his eyes open against that.
And concentrate on the pain, which would then somehow self-water his eyes. So his dad was an optometrist, but his uncle was an eye specialist. And he brought him in and he said, this is impossible. You can't keep your eyes open as long as you do. And he watched and he's like, they're self-watering. Somehow you are self-watering, because you have to blink every now, you know, and that's been the hardest trick. Lorene already knew the trick. And Robert was like, I'm going to try to train you. She goes, no, I do that all the time. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, in school, I would just put the book in front of me and take a nap with my eyes open. So they both, when you watch their footage, they both just, I don't know how they don't blink, but they did. And it's just amazing. Robert still can do that today. Yeah. He can still just not blink.
It's crazy.
It really is.
Wow.
It's a little freaky, I will say. I think that's one of the things that makes people really gravitate towards him, is that you really do think he's not real, that he's a robot.
Yeah.
When he's doing that.
We had a screening in Pasadena at the Pasadena Film Festival, and a lot of Robert's family did show up to that. And what was interesting, it was a cousin of his that showed up, that basically Robert was supposed to take over the optometry business. Bert really wanted, his dad really wanted him to go into that. And Robert's like, I've got other things I'm doing, Dad. And his cousin studied, and he took over the optometry, and he was in the audience. It was just very funny to go, wow, that could have been Robert right there. Yes. And we didn't have no movie.
Oh, here's the cops arresting me. I got arrested 5 times, I told you that. But here's like an actual bust. Many good things have happened to mime Robert Shields in Union Square, but none of them happened yesterday. He was arrested there for performing without a permit. They always got me on that.
He wouldn't talk. This isn't a case of advising somebody of their rights to remain silent. We couldn't get him to talk. He did go through some mime, but I don't understand mime myself.
But that was awesome, finding that officer that arrested him. We just were blown away. And he was so funny, because we show up, he's like, well, yeah, I remember that day. Yeah. You know, and he sat and he was just so funny and just so honest and genuine.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's some of the best lines. He was just amazing with that, you know.
Yeah. I don't speak mine myself. You know, that was just like.
So when did you first start making this film?
2014, 2015. That's when I.
Because we had, I swear it was like a cursed film.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks after the first initial interview we shot with Robert, Chris was volunteering at a place that helped handicapped kids ride horses and stuff. And a lot of these horses that came in were just given to the place. And one came in one day that Chris goes, you know, they said, you know, you better test this horse out. The horse was wild. It bucked Chris. She was thrown and broke her back. So that was the first of many just like stumbles. At one point, I finally go to Robert. I go, were you cursed by a gypsy or something? and he goes, no. And you can see him thinking, and I'm thinking, oh, what have we gotten into?
He was in a circus, so who knows?
Yeah, it's just amazing, just whatever. So it took forever to do this film. And then we self-fund. So that's the other thing too. So when things got to a point where it's like, okay, we need to pay the bills. We can't just keep doing this. And then, so it would go on a back burner for a little bit. And, you know, but yet we got Tony Orlando, we got Mac Davis, we got all these different stories that we luckily got when we did.
Yeah.
Because Mac passed a few years ago, and just to have him in there talking about just that show, and that show was their major break, you know, the Mac Davis show. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah. You know, and to say again about the whole thing with the poppers, there were a couple of different things that would never have happened or been in the film had we finished within the 2 years we normally do. But evidently somebody upstairs was looking out for us in that case too.
And, you know, and
not just the bad stuff. But.
Then there was that pandemic, so that kind of goofed things up. We didn't want to release. We knew that this had to be seen in an audience, and when you see it with an audience, oh my gosh, the laughter. So our opening was in Sedona, so we said, hey, this is our lucky place. I believe we had almost 1,000 people there. And the crazy thing is 6 or 7 people had seen the film before that. And now we're going to be showing it to about 1,000. And Robert had never seen the completed film. So it was just, we got it in there. It was a big auditorium, and to hear the first laugh, and then to feel, it was just like, oh my gosh, it just was a good feeling.
Yeah. I know, working on something that long and putting all their effort into it, and then to actually see it with an audience, that's when it seems like it just washes away all that headaches and all everything.
Very true.
And then the nerve-wrackingness of, does this flow? So luckily, of those 6 people, we've got friends that are in the business. I just say, watch the film, be brutal. And it'd be great, because they were like, you know, this point from here, great. You know, we had one friend that watched it and said, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I am not a fan of mimes. So if it wasn't you guys, I wouldn't have watched it. But, you know, and we're like, well, you know, we didn't tell her it was about mimes. And we looked at our show open that goes in it, and 8 times mime was mentioned in the open. It's like,
we had no clue.
Because we had moved on. That was so we had to completely re-edit the open, and it's not said at all now.
Right.
Just get into it. He's a movement artist, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of mime either. I mean, he studied with Marcel Marceau and all that, and that was real interesting to find out that you know how that happened, and you know,
that was another interesting delay. That all of a sudden Paul Hewson on Facebook during COVID basically reached out and said something, and I said, hey, you know, would you do an interview? So I sent him all the equipment he needed, and he just did that. And he's in Vancouver, Canada. And so just to be able to have that little bit of, because Robert didn't have anything about it. He goes, yeah, I went there, I didn't like it, and I left. But to have Paul then explain everything that they did, and we have that footage, it was really it opened that whole thing up. And it was really kind of neat.
That was the same thing with Michael Jackson. We had a lot of people, especially the people who saw it, mention Michael Jackson and how much his moves seemed very Michael Jackson and all that. But we didn't feel we could put that in because, of course, at that point, Michael was gone. And it just seemed like it might be
Throwing, yeah.
right, you know, like we're just throwing that in there kind of thing. And then we spoke with a gentleman who actually was the editor.
Well, Ben Fong Torres, who's the editor of Rolling Stone magazine. He's a fan. He was one of the 6 people that saw it before, because Amy is a close friend. She goes, "Do you mind if I show Ben a cut?" I'm like, "Please do." He calls us the next day and we talked for a good 2 hours. And I'm like, "Okay, Ben, here's my concerns as an editor on the film, and he's an editor of Rolling Stone. I worry about the credibility of the film and blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "If it's something that you're not saying and somebody else is," and it was great. We worked this whole thing out. And I remember Tony Orlando talking all about Michael Jackson. And it was just like, and that, boom, that flowed in there just perfectly. So, which was really kind of neat.
Another one of those where it was good that it took as long as it did.
Yeah, exactly. Because without that, I would have never figured that connection out.
And they did actually have, Michael and Robert had a connection to each other where Michael would come.
And Robert trained him, but we had no photos to back it up. And it was just, and Robert's like, "Well, I don't want to talk about it as much as, you know, my friend Rick, you know, because Rick Marcelli knew all this stuff. It was going to, and it just, as you're putting these things together, just figuring out how to do it, it wasn't working. And then remembering the Tony Orlando interview, that it was like, oh my God, that's the way to get here. And, you know, it worked out perfect.
Yeah.
So where is the film now? I think you have a distributor and you're going to be showing it.
We do have 2 screenings coming up. We do have the LA Mime Fest. We're going to be there, and that is September 25th to 28th, and that's at LACC Theater. We're not sure which date yet, but if you go to our website, we'll be able to tell you that. And then Black Hills Film Festival, they reached out and they were like, "We really like this." And I go, "We might be streaming. I know that cancels out a lot." And they go, "We really like this film." So we're in that, and it's awesome because Black Hills, let's see, we entered that with Wings of Silver, the Viscount story. They've got the coolest trophy. So my fingers are crossed. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's got a hat on it and everything. Wow,
isn't it so?
That's cool. Yeah. Wow, pretty heavy too.
Oh yeah, it weighs a ton.
Yeah. At the end of the film, you show all the film and the videotapes or something.
Steve Binder's garage for 40 some odd years in Oxnard, California, which goes from freaking cold as heck to hot as heck. And 40 years of that. So when we got done with the interview, Steve was the best. He goes, "Kids, come on over here. I'm going to show you something that's going to make your day." And he opens the garage and he points, "See that shelf? Clean it all off." And I'm like, is he asking us to clean his garage? What's going on? So we go over and I'm like, "Oh, wow, these are film cans." And he goes, "Yeah, Robert asked me to hold on to these and I've never given them back. So they've been here for 40." And I'm thinking, I'm not going to open these tins in front of him because it's dust, you know? And so, "Wow, well, thank you." And there's 3/4 inch tapes. I'm like, those 10 years at the most. So we get it all back home and I open the tins and I'm like, oh my God, these films are actually in decent shape. So we saved money. That's the other. And we found a place over here in Torrance that worked for MGM. And we said, we can afford to go to 2K. Can we transfer these? And he's like, "Sure, we'll do it in our spare time. And it was great. Got a great deal. The footage is just spectacular. And it was in a garage all that time. Mm-hmm. So, and it is funny that one of the guys at the transfer place said, "When this comes out, you have to let me know because this stuff is amazing that he does." he just was like in awe watching this, like, oh my God, this street guy. And even that one little scene, as spoiler, but we'll give it away, where Robert climbs in through the top of a Volkswagen Beetle into a car. That was just, Robert watched that and goes, "I don't remember doing that." He goes, "If I didn't know that was me, I was like, wow, that guy's crazy."
There's a lot of good stuff in this film, and I really hope that people get to see it and, get out there.
Thank you. Can we put the website up right here? Right
there. Okay,
that would be perfect.
There it is right
Chris
there.
Built the site. And
there it is. Brand new.
Yeah.
That new website smell. It's very nice.
The trailer's there, and then you guys can see for yourself what an amazing Amazing guy, Robert is.
Oh,
It's just what he pioneered is just so amazing
and unique.
Yeah.
It's just
And that's one of the things Robert says in the film that I love is like, you got to realize that nobody else was doing this back then. And that's the key, because this was 1970 he was doing this. Nobody else. And that's one of the things we had in the film. The film used to be called They Shoot Mimes, Don't They? And Robert hated it because it had mime in it and all that stuff. But basically, Robert credits himself for destroying mime in a sense. He goes, people saw me doing this and everyone said, well, I can do that.
it looks easy.
And you got all these bad mimes out there. And he goes, that's what happened. He goes, they tried to imitate and they didn't practice.
Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Mark and Christina Bonn, the makers of a new film called Robert Shields' My Life as a Robot. And it can be seen if you're in the LA area. It will be at Mime Fest coming up in September. I'll put the links below, so if you're interested in seeing it and going to the website, things like that. If you did enjoy this interview in any way, you can press that button right there to subscribe, or you take a look at other interesting Q&A and interviews I have below, or you could take a look here. I got a couple here you might be interested in. And we'll see you next time on Animated Educated.